again, I am Nadine White. I'm a founding member and board member of the Black Travel Alliance. I'm also a travel content creator at The Sophisticated Life. And we're excited because this is day number 3 of Let's Get Real. Scott is back for day number 3. I mean, he is a champion at this point to be back with us for day number 3. He is creative head at Meta. And we're so grateful for Meta for doing these sessions with us to help our travel content creators to get better at Reels on Instagram. And Michael is with us today. Hi, Michael. Thanks for joining.
Hello. Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you so much. And so again, everyone here, you're going to have a very intimate session. We welcome people to join us on the stage to ask questions. There will be an interactive part where we will actually make reels together. And so again, we invite you to request to join us on stage, and we will actually make reels together after Scott and Michael go through kind of a presentation. And so yes, please put your Instagram handles in the chat. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat because we will answer questions as we go along. Be sure to tag Meta, tag Black Travel Alliance. Scott has 2 Instagram handles. We'll let him and Michael tell us his. I know one is Scott Dre, and I will find the other one again, Scott. And Michael, what's your Instagram handle?
I'm at Mad Duels, but don't have any high expectations because I work for Meta. I'm not a very active poster.
Okay. Well, I am going to leave the screen and I'll let you and Scott get going with the presentation, and I'll jump back on and off.
Great. Sounds good.
Cool.
Okay.
Thank you. Oh my God, Nadine. I will say, like, this is our 3rd one, but this is like definitely been the funnest part of my week. Personally, Michael's joining the crew. We love this. So this has been such an awesome opportunity. I think one of the things that I've discovered in the last few days, before I get into sort of going deeper on what Michael and I do, is that we're learning from you all. So please, like, once we get into this stuff, I'm going to set up kind of like the overview of Reels and the things that we're seeing. But even, I think it was the first day, one of the questions came up from, I think, Tamiko, who was talking about discovery for music. And we just got a ping today that they're testing like this new discovery product in India. So it's all happening in real time. And it's great to sort of hear from all of you. And I love just like working, together on this and learning together. So a little bit about, like, more specifically about what Michael and I do. We work within Meta. I started 6 years ago, focused solely on Instagram. So I've been actually 7 now, almost 7. Michael, you've been here 4 years now, right? Almost. Yep. And so our role specifically within Meta is within this group called Creative Shop. And what we do is we work with 30 plus what we call like in-market travel clients. So we work exclusively on travel. So we're tapped into a lot of the brands that you all are like working with too, but our role is really to do 2 things: to sort of observe what's happening on our platform and try to bring them ideas around, like, that are connected to sort of meaningful insights, behaviors, things we're seeing across the platform, and build on sort of their big brand campaigns. But we're also at the same time pushing the technology, which we are really close to. We're closer to product teams. We can kind of ask the right questions, go deeper. And that's what sort of why Real School even became a thing, is because we're like, let's experiment more and learn, not only learn what the product itself can do, but kind of play with it and work with it. And again, like I said, we're learning things even this week from working with you all on this. So really the goal of this is to sort of set up what we're seeing on Reels and then go through a very interactive portion of the presentation. A lot of the stuff is super simple, whether you're super new to Reels or like an expert. If you're an expert, please help Michael and I, during the interactive time, because, admittedly, I think we use it a lot, but are always learning new things. So it doesn't really matter where you fall in within that spectrum. This is about sort of starting off easy, and then we're going to kind of up level and hopefully unlock a few new things. And then I love the idea, we've been talking about it, even having a in a couple of weeks, maybe a month, having everybody come back and share some of their reels and walk through some of the things they're discovering and learning, and have a share out too. So hopefully we can organize that. I'm going to start. Michael, why don't you do a quick like intro about your background and yourself within Creative Shop?
Sure. My name is Michael. I've been, like Scott mentioned, I've been here for 4 years now. I'm a creative within the Creative Shop at Meta. I have a background basically in advertising and ad agencies. So I worked as a designer and an art director and creative director for many years before joining Meta, focusing specifically on travel. Very art director background. I said I wasn't too active on Instagram, which I'm not when it comes to photos about my life, but I do have an illustration handle as well that I won't plug. I'll make you find it if you're curious enough, but that's something that really fuels me on the side, and that I like to share on the platform is more of a typography illustration stuff.
They already posted
also
it.
Scott's side.
Somebody found it. Yes.
Oh yeah.
It's in there. Try to hide. You can't hide. Yep. I'm going to share mine later. Okay. All right. Let's get into it. Let's do it. I'm going to share screen.
Okay, I think is Scott frozen? I was wondering if I was frozen.
Oh.
Okay, here we go. Oh, I think he's coming back on. Yep, his Wi-Fi has been tricky the past few days.
He said it's happened every day so far.
I was like, wait, am I frozen or is Scott frozen? But yeah, he'll be back. Hold on, everyone. Yeah. He will be
doing so good. We were so good. I was like, it's going so well. And then yeah. So if I turn into a gray box or whatever, please like yell at me. Obviously I couldn't hear you on that one. I swear to you guys, I restarted everything. I've been like troubleshooting this. It's not my fault.
No problem.
But all right, let's do this again one more time.
Okay.
Hopefully we don't run into any weirdness again. Let me know if you guys can see this. Is it up?
Yep, I can see it.
Yay. Okay, cool. Okay. All right. So yeah, what we're going to do today is called Reel School. It's a real deep dive into Reels. Like, just so everyone knows, like, you know, I always caveat this, like Reels product came from a behavior we saw, you know, on TikTok. Let's be real. Like that's the reality. And it is a behavior that's huge with creating entertaining short form videos. And, you know, I think one of the biggest differences that we hear from creators around the sort of Instagram is, and TikTok or other channels is that Instagram, you still follow someone, you kind of seek them out and follow them, kind of like we were just doing. It's like, I want to like grow my audience and find my audience. I think just we're building on this other aspect of discovery, right? Where the algorithm is sort of finding things that you might like, but there's still sort of both sides to that. And I think there's such power in that, right? It gives people control to kind of find and seek out who they want, but also, you know, discover as well. So it gives anyone, people, creators, and businesses the power to create entertaining short-form videos. The product itself has evolved a lot. When I first started using it, I will say, like, some of it was confusing, and hopefully we'll go through some of the things that, you know, have changed today with the tool, and it'll be even easier. If you think about where it falls within sort of Instagram, like we all know feed, right? I even think back to when I started at Instagram, like when we were doing ads, there was literally only the ability to do a static ad, which is crazy. And now we've got so many other aspects, whether it's stories or whatever, but like feed is still a great place for visual storytelling with photo and video. And like, look, Adam Astori is if you follow him, he's talking a lot about the future, the vision of Instagram, and it is video. But that doesn't mean there's still not a space for photos. Like, I know a huge number of people within the travel world are started out as travel photographers or are into creating filters, or kind of that's their wheelhouse. And I do have a lot of friends that kind of sometimes feel like, hey, are we being forgotten? Are the people that are doing static being forgotten? I think it's just about taking those, different mediums and putting them into reels in short form in a new way. We see a lot of success around, and I'll show you some examples later of like video that cuts to some statics too, and how do you integrate that in, or how do you play with stills? Like there's a tool we're going to show you, some of you might have, that's called Layout within Reels, and it allows you to actually in your sort of screen above record yourself and maybe take a picture of something in the bottom that you're talking to. So like there's ways of still using a lot of amazing things around photo and video together within Reels. But again, that's where feed is. And that's where it's focused. Stories has really become that diary of your day, like organically, the behavior is like, here's what I did today. Here's what I did this weekend. It still works really well. But then there's also live, which is amazing, right? Live has become, even evolved too. We saw a huge boost in live during the pandemic. And then now with the ability to go live with several people, it's kind of become another great tool for, engagement. And then Reels, like I said, is sort of in that middle space of like entertaining on a global stage. It's short form. I think what we've seen is from a curation standpoint, it's definitely like you want to create and do, but like people are being less precious about the overall polish and craft. Even brands that just want to run their commercial in Reels, and in Reels ad find that it doesn't perform as well because some of the things that people are seeing Reels is just more authentic, more real-time things. So that's kind of how to think about it. And then go deeper into the tools. Like one of the things that's really great is that it opens up all these things to either sort of, add personality to the story you're trying to tell, as well as sort of connecting with different communities across Reels. So from a personality standpoint, like music is a huge aspect. And again, like I was saying earlier, we've even just realized there's more and more within music. I'm going to show you kind of like a couple things in that space. Visual, like AR, and adding either a filter or something. I think, one of the memes we've discovered this week, which was again, great learnings for us, is that sometimes the perception is that an AR filter or something can actually detract from, your views, or actually your videos when you use filters don't perform as well. One of the things we always say is don't use AR for the sake of using it. Like I have a lot of creator friends that use it as a way to develop a story. So we've been talking sort of with Tamiko recently about like this idea she has for sort of like dreaming to go to these destinations. And you can, if you have an idea, you can use a filter to sort of accentuate that idea. If like you want to pretend you're like dreaming, you can add more of a dreamy filter to the places you want to go, and it plays up sort of that idea. So again, like always be conscious about like where you're using these things and make sure it's sort of making sense. There's also a consistency if you're doing a campaign around a certain thing to creating a look and feel. Like maybe you're just using an effect that desaturates everything and makes it look like a little more artistic. Like that's something that AR can help you add and do and create that consistency for the content too. Editing is there. It's like, a lot of editing tools. It doesn't mean that you have to only use that tool. Like we have a lot of people that use other tools, editing tools they're comfortable with. And then once they get it to the point or get clips lined up in a certain way, they bring it into Reels and do things with Reels, that are more post-production, but it is a tool that's very powerful. And then again, like there's a lot of trends that we're sort of playing up right now. One of the things that I'm going to talk about later is like, around music and finding things that are maybe trending. It goes pretty deep right now, but there's ways to uncover more. And then ways of co-creation with things like, the TikTok version is duets. We now have remix to make things a little more engaging and provocative. So there's definitely ways of like connecting uncovering certain themes and trends that are going on in communities to be authentic and relevant to the stories you're telling. And then, you know, a lot of it's about like how you integrate reels into your Instagram video strategy. You're probably going out, you know, shooting the way you've been shooting, capturing content, you know, that's aligned around your brand. And maybe reels is like, okay, I do TikTok, but like, how do I do this? I think it's like, how can you still maintain that authenticity, but maybe, you know, be a little more, you know, not reactive, but like, you know, a little less precious about what you're doing, and test and experiment more. I mean, the short form video space is a new space for a lot of people, and there's opportunity to kind of test and learn, which we'll talk about later. I'm gonna let this play out. So this section is really about thinking about like how kind of 4 principles when you're thinking about reels. Like, one is connecting with people, and you want to create something engaging, you know, obviously with their interests through something entertaining. One of the things, again, we come back to is, and we hear a lot is like, how do you pull people in? Well, it's thinking about like what's compelling about your story, maybe even setting context. Like, type is a powerful tool, like whether it's using, you know, the stickers and using the type tool to create little pop-ups. It's actually like recording your voice, you know, with text to speech and those kind of things. So like, I think a lot of people perceive that people are flying through feed and like not connecting with your thing, or there's a reason why. It's like, how do you get that context up so you really ground people in what you're trying to say and then entertain them along the way? Again, getting discovered, there's a obviously huge Instagram community there, and more opportunity to sort of be discovered now than ever before with reels. You flex a different side of your brand personality. Again, if you show up in a certain way in feed and a certain way in stories, maybe this is an opportunity to branch out and test some new things. And then obviously reimagine the possibilities of 916. Like, we all know this is mobile, but like, can you play with that mobile space, that vertical space in new ways? Just an overview. This is actually a layout of Reels ads. I'm going to start with ads just so you all know sort of the breakdown of sort of how ads work. We're really going to spend most of our time today just playing with obviously the organic portion and playing with creating and those kind of things. But just for your awareness, about 6 months ago, Reels ads was launched. You know, clients can now buy, or even you all can buy Reels ads. The length is capped at 30 seconds. You have your full screen 916 video. There's CTAs available. Obviously, music and sound on is recommended, but not required. And then your typical objectives of sort of like any ad, really. A few aren't available, like most are: reach, brand awareness, video views, conversion, traffic, and app installs. And then there's some buying options there. But you can see, when you're putting an ad out, it does obviously eliminate some of the things that you get from when you're just posting organically, like the engagement tools or likes, comments, and shares. So you can like an ad, comment, and share. And then there's the brand handle, and then the learn more CTA. So that's just kind of an overview of what Reels ads looks like. Obviously, the space is continuously evolving, but that's kind of where it is today. And then this is just more of a public service announcement, but, you know, music is a huge part of Reels, and the ability, once, you know, even when it's really started with stories, when you could like add music stickers to your story, now Reels and again with TikTok, like there's a bunch of ways to like integrate amazing music into that and do it organically. One really important thing to note is that, you know, brands don't automatically gain additional access to music by advertising in Reels. That's really important. Brands can't just use a popular track unless they're actually licensing that track, and they've got licensing to use it. And that's even when you all are like working on a, you know, in partnership with a brand and just creating an organic post for them. They have to, if it lands on their page and it's connected to their page, they have to pay for the rights. So that's just more of a public service announcement around music usage, but an important thing to know.
Scott, there's a question about Reels ads, and I think you mentioned this yesterday. Someone's asking about how do you set that up? Is it under Facebook ads? This isn't like available to everyone at this point, correct?
Yeah, I mean, if you have, if you're an ads manager, I'm pretty sure, let me double check, but I'm pretty sure you can
Oh,
post a
okay.
Reels ad. Yeah, it's
True.
one of
Okay.
the options now, just like if you were posting in stories and whatnot.
Okay. All right. So yes, so that was a question about under Facebook ads. So you should be able to check there to set up a Reels ads.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And again, what you're going to do is you're going to have that same limitation. It's up to 30 seconds. I think 916, is your sweet spot, right? For aspect ratio. And much like if you were creating an ad for stories, it works, in the same way.
Perfect.
And I'm not
Thank
100% sure, but I think you can almost check all boxes. I'll have to double check on that if you can, optimize across all channels now too.
Someone is asking about, is there a good place to find information about best practice with Reels ad structure? I guess basically the slide that you just had up, is there a place where that will be available?
Yeah, I can. What I want to do, Nadine, is at the end of this week, I want to share this deck. We have a lot of little, I might just put together a folder and maybe you guys can post it somewhere and post a link. So you can share. A lot of this stuff is, publicly available on Instagram too, but just having one stop shop for like the resource.
Thanks, Michael.
Yeah, I just threw one link in there. There's we have like an outward facing business page for most placements that will like really break down in its simplest form what the ad's made of.
Yeah.
That's great about the deck, Scott. Yeah, because we were going to ask about that. So that's
no
awesome.
Problem. Yeah. Okay. And then one other point to note, Nadine, from a Reels ad standpoint, we're still like, we've done so many ads on stories. We have sort of like a little bit more of a best practice right now. I think the key things that we're seeing is like authenticity. I mean, even though you see this Louis Vuitton ad, it's great, high polish, but it doesn't feel like a spot. It doesn't feel like a commercial. Like, I think there's still a lot of brands that are posting ads that are things that are like running other places. And I think we're just seeing that stuff is not performing well at all. Like, be authentic, be real. It's almost like early days of Instagram stories where the more authentic you were, the more real you were, more sort of like lo-fi. We keep talking about lo-fi, works well in the space. And then obviously from a time standpoint, I would say from a Reels ad standpoint, it's the same best practices that we have in a lot of our things. And we'll get into time later because that was a question that came up consistently in the last few days. When we talk about like length and sort of, it's basically the same best practice across, all channels. Like, especially when you think about feed, people flying through feed with their thumb really fast. When you're going through Instagram stories, you're actually traveling through stories sometimes even faster than feed. And then Reels is its own feed, right? It's kind of like you're swiping up, scrolling. Yeah. So I think the key thing to make sure from a best practices standpoint always is that you're capturing, we talk about this sort of 3 to 5 second window that you have within, and sometimes shorter on stories, where you really need to capture people's attention. So that's why I make recommendations like, if you have something that's like visually great and you love a shot that you've taken or something that's beautiful or epic, that can stop people, right? So taking that piece of the video and putting it up front instead of thinking people are going to see, build up to, again, a lot of what we work with is advertisers who like wait till the end to reveal the thing. It's like, no, put that context up front, put that sort of imagery up front and really capture people's attention. And then using type to like set the context. Like, if I know where you are, like with some type or what your thing is or what your story you're trying to tell, I'm more likely in that first 3 seconds to continue watching, 5, 10, 20 seconds longer. So.
And just so you know, oh, there you go. You're back. You were gray, but you're back now. Okay, perfect.
Can you still see the Prezzo? Okay, good.
Yep, we can still see it.
Awesome. We'll keep posting. And you're my tech support here because I can't see y'all. Okay, so we talked about Reels ads. Now we're to Reels interface. And again, some of this may fluctuate. We did have a discussion like specifically layout this week. If people haven't done a full update recently, or are sometimes we just have people that are in holdout groups where they're testing to see like, hey, what's the behavior, or what do people utilize if they don't have it or if they do. So I'm just going to walk you through the Reels interface and sort of what exists. And if you don't have this, don't worry, because we're really not going to focus. The things that we're going to focus on working on together, most people will have access to. But audio, right, is the interface is pretty simple. Like everything you need from a tools standpoint is usually on your left, and then you have the effects all on the bottom. Audio, again, when you tap on that, it opens up like this awesome and a page of like recommendations. A lot of it's like the kind of music you used in the past. They're like trending banners. There is this. They're testing it in India right now, but it's so funny. We were talking about this because Tamiko mentioned this, is like, is there a, on TikTok, there's this like what's trending section. They're working on that. So it's like it's got a different name, but it's really a hashtag sort of like trend discovery thing. And I'll show you kind of where that's landing. But it's really, and we'll get into sort of tapping on and exploring all these, but it really allows you to kind of like tap into some of those music trends and then utilize those for your story. So that's coming. Length right now, we talked about Reels ads are 30, but they're in organic. They just updated it to 60 seconds in length, and you can go from like 15 to 30 to 60. Again, I would say from a length standpoint, hook people. Don't worry about too much about how long your videos are. It's just like hook people in the first 2 seconds and then make them as long as they need to be. We'll play with speed, and then layout I'll show you as well. And then the timer is really to let you sort of like create in Reels, but set sort of a length of time in which you record yourself and then be able to go hands-free and not sort of hold the camera, etc. I'm just going to let these play out. I demoed these. Like you can see like 60 seconds is now available. We can tap between those. You can do 15, 30, and 60. The speed thing is really interesting. Like if you go anything lower than 1x, it's going to make your video slower. So 0.5x or 0.3x is basically giving you, making it go slower. And then when you go anything over 1x, it's like 3 times faster, 2 times faster, 3 times faster, 4 times faster. And we're going to experiment with speed in the first interactive thing we do. We're going to play with sort of creating a bit of a time lapse video. The newest thing that I've been playing with, which is a lot of fun, is layout. And some of you might not have this. If you do, you can see how it works in this demo. Essentially, when you tap layout, you get an area that kind of grays out at the top, as you can see from like that version of me. And then you have a live video. So you get this prompt and you record the top, and then it switches to like letting you record the bottom. So you can do something like this where you're like, you've recorded that loops and then you record the bottom, and I'm now kind of Brady Bunch style looking at myself. There's a ton of fun sort of imaginative things you can do here. You could like record yourself saying something in a certain place, and do a different background, or like now you're in another place and you can talk to that. So just playing with the space a lot, like, and then you can even go from this sort of split screen to like 3 screens where you might like record yourself, or you can go split screen so it feels like you're actually having a conversation with someone else. And that's just a weird close-up thing I did. So you can see there's ability to scale. I think this is like a territory that I would love to come back and like really play around with all of y'all. And we want to do a lot of work on, because I think just there's a lot this tool can unlock for like hacking different things and doing different videos in different ways that could really be beneficial for travel. A couple of things to call out. There's a group. If you don't follow it, we were talking about following different groups. If you don't follow @creator on Instagram, follow it. It's great. It's really well. There's like a whole editorial bent to it, but like, a lot of times it focuses on people who are doing really interesting things with just their phone, techniques, other things. There's a whole trending section that they do, I think, every month, where they just kind of like, it's different sort of like industries and different creators and different things, but they're like hey, here's this thing we're seeing happen and everyone's jumping on it. So it's good for inspiration. Like I think back to like, I think it was like August, they did that. There was that trend where people were using the, because of the way the filters and stories are named like places, people were like playing with that filter and then they're like in Paris and stuff. So they were using sort of the interface and hacking it to tell a really fun travel story. Chang is huge on there. She does a lot of tutorials. I'll play her sort of United film, but it's a good place for information, inspiration. There's a few others too, but you can see like some of these creators are just playing with, this is one where Karen does drones. She does a lot with like cameras and stuff, but you can see she's just in here, she's like just blowing on the drone, it goes up. There is some after effects that happens here with sort of like a Google Earth view. That's obviously not her drone higher than a plane, but so there's some trickery there going on, but a neat sort of like she'll probably even show you, I think on her page you can see a breakdown of how she made that. Transitions are huge, right? We see this a lot, right? This kind of thing where you're tracking with the shot. I'm going to show you later how to do that and make that process easier. Anyone? I'm hearing some voices in the background. Am I still audible? We're good?
Yep, you're good. Somebody just requested to come on, Ebony.
Okay,
So
cool.
she just muted her mic.
All good.
You're good.
I'll keep going. So another thing, again, like I mentioned before, as this story was a story that performed really well, or reels that performed really well for Marriott. And what you can see here is it's like, obviously we know that point of view is oftentimes hugely experimented with within the travel industry, where it's first person point of view or like from behind the person, and you know, you're always going to get that epic view. But what's great about this one, it's sort of mixing all those things and kind of testing and seeing, like, it's a long form video. It's also using a lot of quick cuts, which has been something we've seen to prove to be really successful, like quick cuts through an itinerary or through a journey or stuff like that. But then again, like I said, playing with video and stills as well to tell your story. And then the last one is just, it's this guy who does a lot of really interesting things with, you know, creating, but kind of does the breakdown of like how to shoot it, right? Here's how I got shot 1, shot 2, shot 3, shot 4, and then shows you the result. So there's, again, a lot of these creators that are breaking down storytelling, this one specifically for cars, but you can see how that could play into kind of the stories you're telling and open up, you know, ideas that you have when you're shooting on location. This next one is for Delta. It's a campaign for actually working with Remix. So what I love about this one is for the Winter Olympics, and we actually connected with this team, but what they wanted to do was create this video, again, a very highly polished video of, like, you know, footage and inspirational music that taps into this idea of like triumph being this universal language, right? The idea of like when you're successful or you're excited or you've done something great, we all kind of celebrate in the same way, and they put this hashtag on it called the Delta Victory Pose. So what they wanted to do was see this video and Remix, and then they've actually hired a bunch of creators to showcase sort of how they do their own victory pose with what they do. And what I love about this one is it's like there's a range. There's definitely people who are like highly skilled at what they do and doing amazing things, but there's also this one on the right where it's just the kid swimming to his dad for the first time. So I'll let this play out. So even though this isn't like about like these people in a certain destination, it's sort of an idea around sort of, you know, connected to the Winter Olympics, which is, again, like we want to travel, we want to see these things. Like, are there moments, are there events where you can align around something, but tell sort of the story of where you are in a place or whatever, and get people to sort of join in to a simple thing. And that's what we talked about. Simplicity is key. This is another one. I won't go into this too much, but like, this was Sonic had sort of this bursting bubbles camp drink that they were launching. And instead of just kind of going the typical approach that they've done, hire a creator that has like a ton of reach, they kind of found these two creators that do a lot with music and really sort of focused on what they could create with the drink. Reels is huge for music. Sound is really important. So they basically rigged up all these drinks to this this music thing and created all these, each one kind of had a different sound, and then they remixed sort of this different song with these visuals to create a fun and engaging story. And again, this was a creator-led thing, but then was something that like Sonic ended up putting a ton of money behind, and it became sort of their main campaign. I won't go into all the details, but this is kind of like, you know, a quick example of like some of the things they did, you know, with the sound and stuff. So again, just thinking about it from a music by drinking some delicious beverage options. Here we go. I always like to, like, you know, show you what's coming. We mentioned that there's going to be more of a discovery around trending music within Reels. This is an experiment that's not ready for live yet. It's one of those like internal things that we can see and play with, but it's really a fun use of sound, and I'll showcase it and then talk about it. So essentially what this is there's been a lot of experimentation within sort of AR, augmented reality, but also like doing things with hand tracking where you can control audio. And so that, like I said, this isn't available yet, but hopefully, you know, would be a cool aspect of like creation, where when you're telling a story, you could do something cool with your hand and like change the sort of tone of the music or the level of the music, or bring in different aspects of the music. And so this is just an experiment that our team internally is working on, but kind of cool, kind of neat way of playing music. So this is where we pause before we get real and maybe get some questions in the thread and see what's going on before we get into it, or we can just get into it.
Yes, let's see. Definitely share some questions. Does anyone have any questions, or does anyone want to jump on the stage? Yeah, that was excellent as usual, Scott.
Cool.
There
might be other questions as we make too. So like if anybody wants to come on stage, also historically, it's not been a real, you know, it's not been a lot of people on stage, but we still had a lot of fun. So if you still want to just say, you know, not on stage and keep chatting, we can check the chat too, right, Nadine? Like,
sure. No, absolutely. And so some people do have the layout option. Actually, somebody's asking about that because I have it. Okay. I have the layout option. So Scott was saying sometimes they release it to different subset of peoples or area, like at different times. So just keep checking your phone, updating the app, because I actually have it. And I think
some people have it, Tyler. I know Tyler said, when will we get that? Again, certain holdouts, like one of the things you should check, maybe you did this before, so it might not be the issue, but sometimes if you haven't updated in a while, you might go back and do an update. That sometimes unlocks it. Again, we did a whole Reels experiment around, we actually worked with Delta at one point before the Olympics thing on playing with Reels and tapping to pause. They have this like long form, it was really beautiful, but it would scroll automatically, and it was a lot of copy, and they were like, let's give people a Reels that they can tap on and read. And at that point, like literally a week after we launched that, the Instagram team like removed tap and pause from like 10% of all people's phones. So it was a test they were running to see, like, is this, you know, like they do all these kind of tests in the background without people knowing it, which is very frustrating for creators, I think, in a lot of ways, because they rely on some of these tools. And that was a big shock to us, because we were like, my God, man, we just spent all this money on this one feature. And
then they pulled it. So someone's asking, I guess they tried the layout. Are you able to mute individual sections of the layout?
No, not yet. It is, so from a sound standpoint, you kind of have to, I mean, what I would recommend is use it more for sort of visual creation right now, because it would be great to like have one sound in one and one in the other. But I think think of it more as like either adding music later or those kind of things. I'm sure there's going to be an option to turn on sound and in one of those windows later or whatever. But I think for now, I look at it as like a fun way to maybe speak in one. And then look, you can't import into that window yet, but like one of the things I was playing with is like having like an image and like recording that image and being like, yeah, this is when I was here, and like commenting on that image. Or
oh, that's a good idea.
when you're in the location, this is another hack you can do, right? You record yourself in the top talking about what you're seeing, right? And then you turn the camera and record like a beautiful view or some location, and then it sort of works together, where you can't see where you're at. So that's another fun hack that you can do.
Ooh, I'm going to the beach this weekend, Scott, and so I am going to try that. I love it.
Yeah, it's a simple one. Trevor, you cannot import and add a video into that layout function. I think that's what you're asking.
Okay. Well, the algorithm not sure real is that transferred from TikTok. Oh, okay.
That's not, I mean, look, I know there's all these algorithm conspiracy theories.
Right.
I will say, as far as my knowledge goes, which is, honestly limited.
Michael's shaking his head.
No way. Like, that is not something that it targets, honestly. And I think actually Reels would fall apart if it did, because most of the stuff is people bring
from TikTok.
Yeah, I think they welcome that behavior for sure.
Yeah.
They just want people to adopt at this point. So.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
That's okay. I love that question. That's hysterical.
Because I just maybe like 2 months ago opened up a TikTok account. I was like, I am not on TikTok. I don't understand TikTok. So I actually only knew what TikTok was because I saw all the videos on Instagram.
I mean, look, let's be real about Instagram. The target is definitely not as TikTok savvy as, people on TikTok. So I think it's the same. Like, a lot of people are learning about it, seeing stories. I have a bunch of friends that even in Instagram stories just record hilarious TikToks and post them in their stories, because they're like, I'm on Instagram. Okay, people, I love what's going on over there, but I'm on Instagram.
Now, this is a question that came up. Sierra is asking about, is it beneficial to post it in the feed? So we discussed this yesterday, whether when you do a reel, should you just post, like have it be in the reel feed, or should you post it also on your static feed on Instagram? And Scott was saying the more places you post it, the better in terms of getting views.
Yeah, I think that's just best practice. I mean, we don't really to date have like any data that says, one versus the other, but like for now, I would just encourage you to do both. And a lot of that is based on some of the behavior that we even saw when I don't know if y'all remember when IGTV, that's going away by the way, but like when IGTV first came out, it was like it was its own standalone space, and we were seeing that like no one was really going there. And so when they allowed you to like post IGTV in feed, the behavior was huge. Like, a lot of people would see a video and it would stop. You're like, what the hell just happened? I want to watch more of that. And then tap it, and then it would open up into IGTV. So, I think the same is here. Like, the videos are definitely shorter here because you're talking about like short form videos. But I think, look, discovery in both places is beneficial. A lot of people still scroll through feeds.
So, I agree. If I have a reel that actually I'm not that happy with, but I still feel it has good information, so I don't want to take it off my Instagram completely, I just remove it from my feed, but it's still under my reels. Like, somebody had told me to do that, just so it's still available in reels, but let's say it didn't get that great of views, so that, like if brands are looking at my feed, they may not see it there, but it's still available for people under my reel. So Tamika just said she's going to do an A/B test. Let us know, Tamika, when we come back to discuss.
Can I just shout out Tamiko for that comment? Like, that is so amazing. Please let all of us know, because look, I know it's hard. I know it's asking a lot, but like what Tamiko is saying is like what we always encourage, and you all may be doing anyway. It's like, we don't have all the answers. We don't see what's going on, and we don't know what kind of, there's so much context to sort of what your story is and what you're saying. And the more you can do a little bit of your own A/B test to sort of see and discover, and then apply that to the storytelling you're doing, and the things you're doing.
Somebody's asking about IGTV videos, if they're going away, or will they be normal feed videos?
It'll just be videos. Yeah, they're not going away. Yeah. It'll just be, I think it's more that like the reality is that Well, I mean, even now, right? Like all videos are really just under the video thing. There's Reels tab, and then there's just video. So it's kind of really, in a way, already happened organically. Okay. Can Scott talk more about how non-followers are discovering Reels? Is it mainly I mean, like non-followers, it is in, you know, the search and explore, right? That's where, if you're cruising through that and then there's a reel that pops up, it's also in feed, right? Like in Reels feed, like we're not, look, the algorithm is not as good as TikTok. Like my kids are all on TikTok and they're like, the way they talk about TikTok is like, you know, that algorithm just knows me, Dad. They just know me. That's scary. So look, discovery for new audiences. Again, focus group of one, but like we did this real school like about a month ago for our sales team. And I just made the stupidest video I could ever come up with in Remix, where I saw this little penguin behaving like a handsome man, and the voiceover was like, you're a handsome little, like, look at you sitting there. And then I did a video in compliment, and I've never gotten, and I'm not like you all, I'm not an influencer or creator, but I've never gotten more likes or views than doing that remix. And again, I think that's part of the trend. The algorithm pulls that trend. So again, like if you're just thinking about, okay, why is my Reels video that I would do in feed or stories not performing as well? I think it's continuing to branch out with some of the tools we're showing you. Use Remix, play with some of these other spaces.
You mentioned Remix, yeah.
See if you can, and Tamiko mentioned that the other day, is like thinking about trending music and stuff. Hopefully we'll have tools that align more.
So one of our tech people is asking, so like you may have 5,000 followers and you only get 163 views, and then you load another and it gets 30 or 100 views. So is it what you post? So is it what you post not going to the people who follow you? So I think that's what Scott's saying, like in terms of it being on the explore page. And we talked about this a little bit the past 2 days in terms of using what's kind of trending in terms of, whether it's like the music, the different like things that are trending currently with Reels, and doing that. Because I feel like when I do that, when you see the certain things that are trending right now with Reels, if I do a video that goes along with that, then I get tons of views, versus
Exactly.
if I just do something regular.
But I think, Nadine, the important thing there too is not, look, I don't have like, my at Scott Dre is just me sharing photos of my kids. I don't really overthink it. You all are creating your brands on your pages. So you're thinking about like, okay, what's my point of view? How am I unique within this landscape of storytelling that is, probably one of the most, one of the hardest travel is like hashtag travel has been number one on Instagram, except for the pandemic, for a long time. So it's definitely a crowded space. And then how do you stand out creatively from a storytelling standpoint, from the kind of things you're doing? If if you just go on and you want to try something in Remix, but you're doing it that's sort of like not aligned with sort of like what you do and who you are. Like, I don't know if you guys follow Joy a photo at all, but she works here at Instagram.
I have to look that one up.
We'll look up at Joy a photo.
How do you spell the last name?
OFODU, a photo.
Okay. Oh, yep. Got it. Okay.
One of our favorite humans at Creative Shop, and she's incredible. But she did a lot of different things as a creator for a long time. And when the pandemic hit and she and her relationship ended of like a long time, she started doing these sketches about relationships, and she found her niche. She found her thing where she was kind of doing a lot of different things. She found her voice and she found what she was doing, and she blew up, right? And I'm not saying that like everyone should go off and do relationship videos. I'm saying that she was like, it took her a while to get there, but then she found sort of what her unique point of view was, and is now able to like blow that up in a bunch of different ways of storytelling. She does reels, she does different things. She uses filters to make her face look like this witch character. She does voices. So like, it's really sort of expanded her view, but she won't go do a remix if it's not right for sort of her brand and her idea, just because it's popular and trendy. So like, you know, I think it's good to test and experiment with these things and see how they work. But to your point, if you're wanting to gain followership on Instagram, people have to see you and go, oh, you know, that's what's unique. That's what's interesting. That's what's different. And that's the reason why I want to see more from them, you know?
Gotcha.
And so
someone's asking just about
in your remix and your things, then you're like more likely to retain that audience and that new follower. Then it's just like, oh, cool. I think I saw something funny from you. I'm going to give it a like, which is what's happening on TikTok. Let's be honest. Like the majority of discovery is the behavior is not necessarily you're going through all the things that they're recommending for you and then going and following all those people.
No, right.
You're just entertained.
So
that is the danger of reels, right? You all are looking to build your audience. Maybe people are just entertained by you, but you want to connect it back to who you are, what you're doing, and really. And then if they see you again, they're like, oh yeah, that's that one person that does that cool thing that I like. I love that, you know.
And I think we're going to show remix when we do the because the tech people is asking that, but I think we do show that when we do the when we make the reels. Let's see. If someone only interacted with NSYNC related post reels, would that result in mainly NSYNC related accounts seeing your content? I am not sure. I don't know if you guys
mainly NSYNC related. I think it's a couple things. It's not only like accounts related to that. I think, look, the algorithm is smart enough. At least Instagram, I know, in the beginning is like interest based, so it's not going to be only that kind of thing. It's like maybe music. I mean, for me anyway, like I notice a shift when I start like I'll share my other handle, which is more of an illustrator handle. And I like a lot of Marvel comic people that draw amazingly better than I do. And so I notice when I start liking more of those contents, I get more of that in Search and Explore. And then when I'm like I'm searching more, like Michael and I do like garage workouts or New York City workouts. Like if I'm doing that, now I'm getting all these diagrams of people with like how to work out muscles and stuff. And I'm like, okay, that's too much. Let's go back to the illustration. So like, I do see that kind of shift at times, depending on sort of what you're engaging with. I don't know if that answers
and to clarify or to build on that, Scott, like if you start to like those Marvel comic illustrators, that's going to build what you're actually seeing, right? And you're going to start to see more of that, but that's not going to affect what other people see of yours. Meaning, like in that question, they're asking if that would result in like NSYNC related things, seeing the content you're pushing out. No, that would just affect, you would just continue to see more and more NSYNC content if that's the kind of thing you're seeking out.
Yeah.
But that wouldn't affect who it's shown to.
Look, I don't know much about the algorithm. I know that question came up. The algorithm is just basically like trying to read off the things that you're giving it, right? The inputs you're giving it. Like if I'm tapping on this or doing that or liking this or engaging in that, it's trying to guess. These things are not perfect. Right. And in some ways it's really impossible to position yourself as somebody who's trying to crack the code on that, because you're never going to crack it. The more you do what Tamika was saying is A/B test things, try things, and then consistently try to create something within your voice. Doesn't mean that you can't try a trend or do things, but being authentic to who you are is key. I'm going to get to some of the fun here.
Yeah, let's go. So does anybody want to come on? This is your chance to get on stage and let's make some reels. There is, we talked about hashtags before, and there is no maximum from what we were discussing, and they're not like as important for reels from what we discussed before.
Yeah, again, it's like if you think about to me the hashtag is power is like, you know, hashtagging around obviously travel and those kind of things you want it from a discovery standpoint, but that's usually people seeking those things out, typing them in. Like again, what I was saying about reels, similar to TikTok, is that people are just discovering you through sort of like you know, the things you interact with.
Yeah.
It's still that it's not non-important. In fact, the Delta example I showed, the hashtag hangs out right above. So for people to jump on Remix, you want to have like a snappy hashtag or something that's like, oh, are you guys doing the what's the challenge where everyone steps on the crate challenge? Like, oh, this is the crate challenge. Cool. This is the one where I'm gonna break my face milk on
Right. Yes.
on your milk crates. So like then yeah,
We love that.
one set line around that in Remix. But you know, again, in Reels, it's just, I think it's just less. We just have any data that says like you need to be doing it one way or the other, you know.
Perfect. All right,
Cool.
let's get to the fun part. So everybody take out your phones and go to your Reels section in Instagram, because we're going to make some together.
Yeah, and everyone, like, let's start off easy. I saw some people who want to do green screen. We'll get there. We're going to do some effect stuff too. But this first thing I mentioned before, let's just play with the speed thing so everyone kind of gets familiar with how to do it. This is a sort of lightweight, easy way to start. Again, if you want to pull up Reels and have it live in front of you, if you're in Instagram, one easy way is just to swipe right and it pulls up the camera, right? And then at the bottom, you have live, you have Reels, you have stories, you have posts, you know, just tap on Reels and then you should get everything that I showed you previous. I'm just gonna play this out real quick and then I'm gonna turn the presentation off and we're gonna do it together. And I'm gonna kind of show you a way to sort of like level this up. So for time lapse, like I said, the way that this works is you can play with the different times on there. In this video, what they're doing is they're recording just a simple action, right? Like, you know, beating eggs and making something. And so they record it sort of in regular speed, but put that sort of like 4 times the speed on. So when you play it back and then preview it, it's this. Eggs in the morning. I like mine with a kiss. Up or down. And what's great about that is really what you're doing is you're using time lapse and creating this sort of sped up thing very easily, but then they're adding the element of music that just gets to sort of a different vibe. And immediately you're like, okay, this is way cooler than it was if I just saw somebody doing a time-lapse video. So what I did with this next demo, and this is what we can do together, is I can show you a couple things to sort of level it up. We're gonna do like 4x the time, but we're gonna use the timer at the bottom. You can see here, I have it at 4x. You go to that stopwatch and you can set the time. So you can say, look, I wanna do this video and make it happen in 10 seconds. This allows you to sort of decide the length of time you want to film. And then you can see here when I start it, it gives me a countdown and I can drop my phone and then walk through. And in this case, I'm walking through in slow motion because I want to kind of, what y'all don't know is I had the audio too. You can choose audio. I'm gonna stop this real quick and stop sharing and just talk to you. But what's cool is if you use more than just the time, you add the level of like hands-free with the stopwatch, but then you maybe pick a song. Say you want to do it to a certain song. Like the other day I was just playing Do You Know the Way to San Jose? I think it was Dionne Warwick. And what it does is when you select a song before you start recording, it plays that song in slow motion and you can kind of actually hit those beats. So like if you want to do a move or you want to do, I don't know, or you want to react to it, you're kind of hearing it and you can kind of play it out and see it. So we can play with different things, but what I would encourage you all to do right now is just like I'm doing. Pull up your phone and then go to that time function and see, again, like I said, anything below the 1, 0.3, 0.5 is going to make you slow-mo. We're trying to speed you up. So I'm going to max it out at 4, okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and tap that stopwatch and I'm going to see this view. And then I'm going to take that down to like maybe 10 seconds. Just so I kind of have like a framework that I know it's like, okay, or maybe 5, like this clip is only going to be 5 seconds. Now it's going to speed you up. So it's actually recording you, but then it's compressing the frames. And so it's going to be a lot shorter. So like 9 or 10 seconds is good. And then I'm just going to set my phone right here like somewhere where it can stand up, and I'm just going to record myself right here while we're doing. I hit set timer and hit the button, and now it gives me 3, 2, 1, and I can do some kind of like, you know, slow motion walking through frame. Like I'm going somewhere really fast, but I'm slowing it down. You can go regular speed too. I'm just doing it because it does speed you up and playing with time. And then I hit stop. And now I can go either into preview button on the right, or you can actually go to the little button on the left. It's also got high speed audio, and you can see, you know, I look really sped up. The fun thing is to like experiment with that. But like I said before, like if you want to pick a song and add it in with the music feature and then redo it, you're gonna get like a really cool slow-mo version of that music, and you can kind of like track to like that track, or like find the part in the track you want to do and then kind of do a match to the song. So let me know when you all get to like playing with that. That's just an intro. We're just getting warmed up here. That's just an easy one.
Did you guys get it? You can comment. Let us know what you guys think of that. I thought that was really cool because I have never actually done the speed up version of the Reels. So I am definitely going to try that.
Okay, I'm going to show you guys like, so obviously with audio, I've been doing a lot of Encanto work lately because we're working on Disney. So I'm going to put We Don't Talk About Bruno in there. So now you can see when you add the music and the 4X, right? If I record something again, you know, and set the timer for the next section, I'll show you. Just try to listen and see if you can hear how it plays back while I'm recording. See how it's slowing the music down? So I can try to track with the music and be like, we don't talk about Bruno or something. You know, like I can match that part of the song, and then it's going to sort of, I mean, it's really hard to tell what the sounds are, but that's how a lot of people kind of like match to. It's definitely not the high end TikTok dances that they're destroying, but like if you're wanting to hit those beats with the fast thing, it slows the music down so you can hit on those things and move a little slower. It still looks sped up, but it's kind of a neat way of sort of tracking with what's going on.
Try that. Any questions on that one? We have a quiet group today.
That's okay. Everyone's doing it. That's the best part. They're getting into it.
Let's see. Ruth says she speeds up. I do speed up in Reels with still pictures. But I see some creators who go through maybe 10, 15 pictures in a reel. Oh, and she does still pictures in. Oh, she has. Yeah, I have seen that too, where people use still pictures and it's like maybe 1 second per picture. I've done that myself. I think I was able to get like 20 pictures in a reel.
Yeah, I think again, this is what I will say about the product. And there's no product people on the call. I think there's going to always be some limitations to what the editing feature can do. My assumption with that is that you can only get it down to like that second, maybe.
Yeah.
You can use, I mean, what I would encourage you to do if you ever want to get something where it's really clipping through like super fast and not holding on 1 second, you know, we can make some recommendations on other editing software, but a lot of times what we see is creators that see limitations in Reels go into like a video shop or like, you know,
use a different app.
Use a different app. And then you cut that piece. Like if you want statics to cut through, cut it with what you want, get it down to that half second or quarter of a second, and then you pull it in post, and then you can add the music and whatever. One thing to point out, like we discovered this day one, that at least with the speed right now, like my phone does it, so it's coming. But when you pull things from your previous video into and you try to play with speed, it doesn't affect it, unfortunately, right now. But that's coming because I just proved on Monday, I think that it is a feature on my phone. Well, you will be able to affect the speed. So that's another trick you could do. Like you could edit it and then export it and then bring it back in and speed it up eventually. So that's
Ruth is asking me how I did it. I just added each picture, but only like 1 second per picture. And then I was able to do, because it's up to like 30 seconds for a reel.
Yeah.
So each picture that I added, I just did 1 second per picture.
But Nadine, my guess is that, and I haven't done that, I haven't gone through what you did, but my guess is that that's sort of like as low as you could get.
Yeah, it is. It was. Yeah.
So
okay. Any other, when editing my reels longer than 30 seconds, I notice it gets a little glitchy and I have to start over or save the draft. Because that's the max, right, Scott? In terms of oh no, she says when she edits 30 seconds. Oh.
So it glitches, huh? Well, I mean, what I would do is, I don't know, this is hard from an experience standpoint. I mean, maybe next time we meet, y'all come with, and maybe we can even go live and like recreate some of these things that you're seeing so we can sort of see them in real time. But what I would say is like, that might be just from a view standpoint. And when you export, maybe when you export it, the glitch isn't there. I don't know. I mean, some of the products have their own issues. It could be, that a lot of, I don't know. I really don't have an answer for that specific.
And I would also say a lot of the audio songs within Reels are cut and edited to 30 seconds. So I don't know if that's an update coming with the new 60-second update, but that could be the reason the track is stopping and just not automatically looping.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about the syncing. Michael, do you know much about this? I've seen this, but I don't know if it's every song. Is it every song?
It's not, and I'm not positive on how they're selected. I would imagine what you just asked, Amina, is the actuality of it. I think it's probably trending music, and probably ones that work well with it, like as in more rhythmic. But we can look into that. I'm not sure. I would imagine it is trending because they would just want people to run with it.
Interesting.
But
I have not noticed that.
We can follow up at Nadine and send you like kind of the latest that we have on we should be, as long as it's externally shareable, we can share like, what clips. I think it's usually within, like Michael said, within a menu of I know. So again, I get this newer menu that's called reactive audio when I tap on audio. Well, it's gone today. Of course. How this works, it's like missing. But I had it yesterday, and again, that was like literally a bar of like, it was almost like more stock type music.
Okay.
They were using. So again, my guess is that that will be hopefully, more clear coming out. With speeding up, can you speed up an imported video? Yeah. So that's the thing we tested. You will be able to, because when we tested on Monday and I uploaded a previous video, within the editing, when you have sort of the editing bar at the top and you do add or whatever, what I was getting was a menu for speed still and music in the edit. But we weren't able to. And that was something we were not able to replicate on people that were not internal people.
They're special, so they can do it, but we don't have that.
Special, but we do see some things that are coming and that they're testing.
Right.
Yeah. Again, a lot of people don't have it. I even went deep into the Reddits and the other things, and there's really not a lot of there's really no solution other than using another app to sort of speed up or slow down your video and then bring it in if you're doing it in post. Okay, let's do somebody mentioned green screen. Let's jump to green screen next. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna do first things. I think we should do let's pause. Let's do green screen second. One of the things that we were talking about a lot, in the last 2 days is not necessarily stop motion, but the align feature. So we're going
I
to
have
do
my pen and paper today.
Yeah, good. So if you have a piece of paper and a pen, grab it now, because we're going to start with something that's going to feel like, wait, that doesn't have anything to do with the way that I create, but it will ultimately make sense once we get to green screen. So I'm going to share again, and we're going to do just another really kind of fun, simple exercise to show you how to work the align tool. Which, again, the reason why we're doing this one is this was referenced yesterday in the thread, but like, you know, a lot of people are wondering, what are the tools that you can unlock to, like, where people change their clothes and it's that match cut where they hold and then they're in a new outfit or something, or even like we talked about with Onika's stuff of like transitioning from one place to another, but doing that seamlessly. This align tool is going to show you how. So you can see we're calling this stop motion because that's the expression, but this is around playing with recording different steps of a scene to sort of get to one sort of stop motion scene. But the key element that they use here is this align tool. And I'll show you, I'm just going to, that's just like the stop motion video. I'm going to show you like an example of a video that I did that we're going to do together. So essentially, you can see on the left, what I did was I started just writing at Scott. And each time I took out a piece of paper and all I did was write one letter at a time. So I started with the at symbol, and we can do this all together. If you take out a piece of paper, if you want to write, you know, whatever you want to write, real school is the best, or make it a really short word or whatever. But what I want you to do is open your camera. And if you can see on the right, like once you actually start recording anything, once you tap that record button, you'll get this thing that pops under the timer or the stopwatch icon that says align. And this is great because what it's basically doing is it's taking your very last frame that you shot and using it as an overlay so you can line up the next shot. So if we're doing this together, what I would do is flip your camera to the opposite of selfie facing view. I would just take your piece of paper and write your first letter down. Like I'm going to write, hi, and I'm just going to write an H. And then I'm going to hover my camera over it. And all I'm going to do to start this is I'm going to tap the record button once and then quickly tap it again. So I'm really just trying to capture a quick snippet of this. So then if I tap it once and tap it again real fast, then you'll notice that align pops up, right? So I'm going to stop sharing. And then what you're seeing when I just, again, type the letter H, what I'm seeing if I tap that align tool on the left is I'm seeing sort of like a little layer of my letter, right? So then that allows you to keep going. And again, with this experiment, we're just typing words or writing words and creating a video that looks like stop motion. But with, something on the world, when you're traveling, you're using that to, line up where you are. If you're walking through, one thing we see a lot is like setting up camera, a locked off shot, and you walk a little way, you walk through and you're in one place. But what if you wanted to walk through and have the background change as you walk through? Like, you can always use this tool to kind of like find out where you were on the last frame and line all those frames up so you know where to start in the next frame and those kind of things. So I can show you kind of how kind of review what an example of like where people might have used it in a travel thing. But if we want to keep doing our little hack, your next thing, if you haven't already done it, is using that tool to line it up. And then I'm going to write the next letter. And then I'm going to, again, just simply hover over that once it's lined up and then tap record and then unrecord quickly. So you just get a short clip. And then I'm going to write another letter. And then it's going to give you like, again, you've always got to hit that align tool, line it up. And then again, you've got, I've got the word hi. If I see the preview, if I look at the preview, not the clip, but if I hit preview, I can see, it's like, it's got audio in there. So I want to eliminate my weird audio. The other thing you can do is to make it really stop motion, if you're recording that again and really want to speed it up, you can change that to 4x, and then that's gonna make it even happen even faster, right? So that those letters will come on even faster and it look like it's kind of writing. So a cool stop motion technique. But again, when we were talking about it yesterday, one of the things we really dug into was this video in particular. I'm going to try to go back to the presentation where we had it. It was this one, and we were just kind of like really sort of focused in on like this specific one, and like how, if you can see, obviously there's like this cut point here when she walks through, but like you could see her using potentially a line tool to find out like where she needs to stand in frame and where the camera needs to start. So you could see that overlay and be like, oh, cool, I need to start there. Or to our point about like, you know, people jumping and landing and their clothes changing and those kind of things, that align tool is crucial. Yeah, exactly. I always wondered how they did it too. And that's just like, you know, other techniques, but that's just one of them, you know, that's just one of them. That's a great tool in there.
Someone's asking, Scott, can you use a line on imported videos, or does it have to be like live videos?
So essentially what you're doing yes, you can. And I think it's based on this philosophy, right? Like if you import a video, where does it go? It goes into that thing that left side where you kind of park everything. All this align tool is doing is like literally going to that last video and showing you the last frame. So if you import it in, you edit it down, you start filming again, or you tap and film something, or even if something's in there, you can do it. Let's just test it right now, just because I'm curious, because we haven't tried it, but let's just do it all together. Who gets to it first? Somebody confirm that it works. We just haven't tried it, so.
I just did it. I finally did it on paper today and understood using the tool. For the past 2 days, I was like
I just imported a video.
Okay.
And it ought because I have a video in there, look, that align thing pops up, and that's my video. It's a dinosaur again, because I was showing you this. I did this AR dinosaur video thing yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what's great. Like the cool thing about like using this is even when you're in a shoot, right? You capture a bunch of takes and you're like, I think that's the good one. Let's move on to the next spot. And then we're going to upload it. And even just kind of like lining stuff up, even if it's like what we were talking about with Onika's video, like you use it as a tool, and then maybe you go back to shooting regular, but you're like, at least we know like where our marks are and where we're starting and stuff.
Got it.
Let's get to green screen, because I think that was the most fun yesterday. I'm gonna
share
one more time. So I'm just gonna show you the journey. There's gonna be a couple extra steps here that aren't in the deck, but we'll make it really easy for you. So again, the green screen is a filter. I think a lot of times, recently we've heard that sometimes filters, if you try them, maybe your thing doesn't perform it as well. But I think this is one of those things from a storytelling standpoint that gives you, just similar to layout, it gives you a lot of flexibility. So the way that, and we'll do this live, so don't worry about doing it yet. But the way that green screen works is you're using a filter, much like if you're blocking out the background in Zoom. It's kind of, all the same principles apply. You need to make sure you have a lot of contrast behind you. It works better when you do whatever. But there's a way basically within Reels to use this effect search. And I'm just going to let this play out. So she searches for the green screen, you find it, and then there's this button that will pop up. We'll get to all this live when we're doing it together. It says add media, and you can add any video really. So again, we're not going to curate this like she's doing. She's making it look like there's two of her, and she's doing the time record thing. Not important for our thing. So what I want you all to do is, and this is another important feature that's updated. If you look at the bottom and see that I need to fold some laundry over there. You'll see that, you'll see that there's that little sparkle button.
You're a
If you
gray
tap
box
on that,
right now, Scott.
oh, I'm gray. Dang it.
Yeah, I can hold my phone up. You should
Yeah.
see the little sparkle button to the top above the capture button. And that should open a gallery. If you hit the little magnifying glass in that space and just search green, it should be the first one that populates.
Yep, and it says by Instagram, because there's a bunch of green screens, we realize. So you want the one by Instagram?
Yep.
Green screen.
Green screen. So where are we at? Off. Can you see me? Am I gray? Am I?
Yep, we can see you.
Okay. So, so the cool thing is tap that green screen and then select it, which I think you already did. And then it says add photo or video to the background. So once you tap add media, it will pull up your tray of all your stuff. And then you just add whatever video you recently shot or whatever, and then pull that in. You do get it one more step in there. This is my daughter using the Encanto filter. And you can scale it down. Like I want to cut the tail end of that off. So, and then you just hit add, and then I can, the other pro tip is make sure you're selfie facing, because a lot of times people are like, wait, where'd I go? And they flip their camera. So make sure you flip your camera back to the selfie facing, and then you should be able to, I'm just going to kind of record myself talking about this. Hold on. Hey, blah, blah, blah. And it will record your audio. It won't record the audio. It won't include the audio from your video. And then again, this is the result you should get. You should be able to, like, you know, see yourself in front of the video talking about it in real time.
So cute.
And again, yeah, we were talking the other day, like Tamika has this awesome hack of like taking a bunch of places that she's been or she's wanted to go, importing those, maybe even cutting those, like we talked about. Like maybe you edit that before you do green screen. So you pull those videos in, you just them all together at like 5 seconds each, and then you add that dream filter, which is again another thing you can find. Once you hit preview, you can add anything you want to that final video. You can add type, you can add a filter, you can add effect. You add that, maybe like a dreamy looking filter, and then you save that or export that out. Then you go back in and open up green screen, and you bring that video that you just made. Now it looks all dreamy behind you, and it's like all these places you want to go. And then you sort of tell a story about it. Or we talked about just even like, I think Tamika, you were saying you just do audio and voiceover over the places. And now you have the option to kind of feel like you can, you know, position yourself in frame. You know, you can scoot back farther, you can get closer, whatever, and then you can kind of talk to the places you've been and really make it sort of a more immersive experience. Again, layout's going to be something that when everybody gets it will be another nice place to like talk about. Have you know, in front. I think one of the challenges that we always see, like I know you probably all do all kinds of different things with you know, as a creator, but one of the things we see in travel is like travel isn't a product, right? You can't hold up travel in your hand and be like, hey, look at me, it's me, and I'm here. You always have to be like in the place, sort of disconnected in a way from like being like this, unless you're doing selfie view. So all tools, I think, help us tell a really unique story, but also include yourself, your authentic voice, you know, in a way that can bring you into the space and let you sort of like, you know, do a lot of different things.
Okay, so someone missed it, so we're going to do it again because I know on Monday I needed it twice myself. So first you're going to go to just a regular Instagram screen for Reels, right? And then under where you see all the different filters at the bottom, you're going to search for the green screen by Instagram. So you can either search for it. I think mine is showing because I've done it so many times, but
yeah, you can also just tap on that and it pulls up this view, Nadine, remember? And then on the left, you should have a little search icon that you can tap on, and then type in the word green screen.
You're gray again, Scott, just
Oh,
FYI. But yeah, so you can search, and it's the one that says green screen by Instagram. So once you get that, you should be here where your screen is green. Is everybody there? And then after that, don't click on this bottom part where you would normally add media for Reels. You want to click on where it actually says add media, because a bunch of us are doing that on the first day. So you want to actually add. So for like, and this little sparkle thing is where you can search for the different filters. So you can press on that if you're not finding the green screen. Okay, so then add media, and then search through your phone, and you can search and just add whatever video you want. Let's see. I'm just going to add something random here. What was great, Scott, that you had showed was that you can like adjust how long you want the clip to be. So you can like use the bar down here and adjust how long you even want the clip to be. So do that and then add. Okay. And then you want to then click on this button to record yourself.
Yeah, once you see yourself in the frame.
Right. So once you put the camera, so turn the camera towards yourself, and you should see yourself in, okay, she got it. You should see yourself in, and then you can actually like adjust yourself. So you can touch on the screen and you can move yourself around as to where you want to actually record yourself.
That is cool.
And then press on the record button and then record. And she said she got it. Perfect. And then it'll record for as long as you had set the timing for. And then once you are done, you should have, yep. And then record. You should have your recording of you on the green screen. Perfect. And then you could actually keep adding clips.
Literally put yourself, sorry, Nadine, go.
Oh, go ahead.
I love the scaling thing because it cuts you off, but it's kind of cool. You can literally put yourself super small in the corner and you can looking down and be like, that's that one time, like play with the space, play with that size, it's fun. And then there might even be like another ad, like once you get this built, like I'm just going to record this real quick and show you like how I look in the preview. It's going to get there. I'm talking, the first clip is, but once you get to, wait a minute. Yeah. See how I set that up? Like,
yeah.
Like one of the things you can do is then once you get into preview, you still have like at the top here, you have access to all the stickers and stuff. So you might even go in and like put a frame around yourself. Like there's sticker frames and like you can embellish it and like put some like little Giphy flowers next to your, whatever you want to do to kind of like play it up and make it feel like, picture in picture, whatever your story you're trying to create. So there's just a lot of fun you can have with sort of like changing things, scaling them up and down. And
this is like the best for me because I have seen that like all over Instagram, and I thought they were using like some high-tech outside app to do that. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I just like thought, well, these young people are so technologically advanced that they're doing this green screen thing. So I just thought it was cool and just kept on scrolling. But now I just love it because especially like you said, for travel, you can like do like the video of wherever you've been and then like, talk about it, point up and talk about what you saw, and how amazing it was and blah, blah, blah. And like you said, add different clips of the different locations, let's say in Rome. And then at the end, it's like, you put it all together. It's just awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
It is amazing. Like that's what I mean about effects. Like I think we always think of effects as like a selfie effect or a face or a hat or some glasses. And it's like there's so much you can do with just even green screen on its own. I love what you were saying about the reaction videos. It is good for reaction videos because it's like, cool, I can put myself up there and be like, oh, watch this video together and have some fun with it. The other thing that we're experimenting with, and I know on the last call, some people were talking about like Spark AR and like creating an AR, and it's a whole platform. We would need a whole nother hour and a half to go deep. Michael's experimenting a lot in it. But one of the things that we could possibly do even together creatively is use AR as a way to connect to the brands more. We've seen within our like APAC region where they created these templates in AR. So what it does is it gives you sort of like a frame where you could, similar to what we were just doing, like it actually creates this AR experience where you are in the frame, but then the brands look and feel or like tone or like, you know, is sort of surrounding you. So it's a great, easy thing for them to just like, you create 15 seconds of you, the brand's already sort of in the thing and it looks like, or it's like part of a campaign. And then you're using it as a production tool, but then they're optimizing that really fast to then put in paid and stuff. And which hopefully means more money forever, you know, for all you all.
Gosh, you guys, I mean, I can imagine.
We're playing with, and we'd love to like, you know, even potentially partner and test with some of y'all here. So I know we're at time. I'm Nadine, I'm going to let you take it over and maybe.
Well, let's see. Does anyone have any last minute questions? This was, again, incredible. I learned something new every single day. And just so you guys know, we're going to have everyone that's been a part of this the past 3 days test everything out. And then like in a couple of weeks or so, we're going to come back with Scott and his team. Thank you, Michael, for being here today. And really kind of then go back over everything because we know everyone will need a chance to kind of test out everything and go back over the videos and watch them. And so we'll all come back and kind of do kind of like another classroom session to see what questions people have. Great. I'm glad that people are saying that it was awesome, that they thought it was helpful. Be sure to tag Black Travel Alliance, tag Meta, tag Scott and Michael. And it's just been so wonderful and helpful. We are so grateful to your team that you spent this time with us this week. I mean, Scott, 3 days in a row.
No, honestly, Michael hasn't been able to be here. This is, I tell my wife, Courtney, I'm like, I just want to do this for my job. Just
my gosh.
and like play with the reels all day. If I could get paid for that.
Oh my gosh. We are so appreciative. And again, this recording will be emailed to everyone that attended. So you'll get to watch it over and over again. So you'll learn something new, I'm sure, as you watch it again. So thank you guys.
One more thing.
Yes.
Tamika mentioned like time to post. I would say, look, from a real standpoint, we don't have any data that says, you know, there's new times. I would just say continue to follow your best practices on like time of day, days of the week. Again, it depends, right? Like we have a lot of people in the, you know, in certain verticals that post right before the weekend because like there's something coming up or an event, you know, like timing for reels doesn't really change. Keep strong with kind of what you've been doing and what's worked.
Got it. Perfect. Because I also had heard on that same idea, like people are like, well, don't post on your feed more than once a day. And then I've heard like with reels, you can post like 3 a day. Like it doesn't even matter.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's right. Yeah. That's 100%. Like it is definitely just because of the way it works and the way people interact with it. That's right, Nadine. So sorry for that.
And Sierra did have, if Instagram goes back to chronological order, will that affect reels? Yeah.
Theoretically, yes, maybe. I don't know what the status is on, you know, I was here when it was chronological.
Me too. Right. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It's a good question. I don't really have a great answer.
Yeah, I've only heard it being applied to feed,
to the feed.
as in the IG feed. I would imagine with Reels being like more of a discovery engine, it will remain the way it is. But feed, I know that they're talking about going back to that.
To chronological. Got it.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, thanks again, everyone. Have a great day. We appreciate you all.
Thank you. So fun. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.